Okay, hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of my video podcast on the future of business and technology. And today's topic is very exciting. Is about the partnership between Juniper Networks and Aston Martin Formula One, and how they're using artificial intelligence in their networks to give them an advantage. And to help me discuss this, I'm joined today by Jeff Aaron, who's the VP of Enterprise Marketing at Juniper Networks. Welcome, Jeff.
Thank you so much for having me, Bernard.
Yeah, it's such a pleasure to have you with us. Where are you joining us from today?
I'm in Menlo Park, California. So our corporate headquarters are about 20 minutes down the road. But yeah, here in California, I'd say sunny California, but it hasn't been so sunny lately.
Very good. And you can tell the time difference between us as well. It's nice and bright in the morning, and it's getting dark here where I am. So maybe you can tell us a little bit more about yourself and a bit of your background and what you do at Juniper today.
Yeah, I had product marketing at Juniper, so it includes the whole portfolio, from campus and branch, which is wired and wireless access, to data center and data center connectivity with the security in between. And so I came in through an acquisition. It was actually a company called Mist Systems that was acquired. Oh gosh, I guess about 5 years ago now. That actually brought a cloud, microservices cloud concept and AI concept to Juniper. And so what's really exciting is that's now become pervasive across everything Juniper does. And in fact, all the Mist executives are all still at Juniper in key roles. And why that's so exciting is like the Aston Martin, use case is exactly like right in that wheelhouse of, leveraging the cloud, leveraging the AI, and really, underscoring the mantra of what we were all about in Mist, and now Juniper has become all about subsequently. And so it's just a very exciting, cross reference of everything we're doing. And so that's why I'm so excited to be here and talk about it with you, Bernard.
Very good. So let's get right into it. Tell us a little bit more about the Aston Martin Juniper story then. And I'd love to learn more about how they're using your
Yeah,
technology on the track, in their factories, in their
yeah, for
campus
sure.
and headquarters.
Yeah, and it's actually funny, almost serendipitous that Juniper actually had a tagline of "driven by experience," right? Before Aston Martin, which is kind of interesting, right? And the notion there was that it's not enough for a network to be up, right? It actually has to deliver good experiences. Separate from Aston Martin, right? How many times have you been on an airplane or been in a hotel, or your kids have complained, the network's down, and you look and the Wi-Fi's up and the WAN's up, everything looks good, but it's a bad experience, right? And so that's what we're all about. And that was very similar to obviously Aston Martin's philosophy, right? There's lots of cars on the track that all have engines and steering wheels, but that doesn't necessarily mean you win, right? So how do you ensure that you're getting a better experience over your network? Is our mantra, and also theirs, right? And so subsequently, we partnered with them really across their entire area of being, right? It's everything from, they were the first team in 25 years to build a brand new campus in Silverstone. So how do you make sure all the employees on that campus are able to get the data they need quickly and reliably? How do they host people on that campus in a good way? To the fact that brand new factory is on site. So how do you make sure that they can find things, pallets and other things, and have efficient operations in the factory, which were both completed in 2023, to a brand new wind tunnel and engineering resources that they're building, which has, hundreds, if not thousands, of sensors that need to, give accurate data, all the way to the fact that on race day, they have to literally set up little mini networks, right? For the pit, for the garage, they have to be set up on the fly. This is in, I forget what it is, dozens of different countries. It could be, thousands of miles away from their corporate environment. So that has to be set up easily, and reliability to connect, just a lot of data in real time, to ultimately give that better experience, which for them is a podium finish. And so it's just really exciting. So we've been thrilled to be a partner with them on this endeavor, because it really shows off everything we're about and everything they're about.
Very good. So, tell me more about your self-driving network.
Yeah, it's a great question, right? So the general notion of why you would use AI for networking is to do a couple of things. I always say it delivers automation, it delivers insight, and it delivers assurance, right? Automation is you can proactively detect problems and fix them, whether that's via a recommended action, like, hey Bernard, your Wi-Fi is looking shaky, or I guess, hey IT, Bernard's Wi-Fi is looking shaky. Here's what you need to do to go fix it, to actual self-driving, where maybe I can fix it myself, right? Just change your channel or change your power output, and that's the ultimate, I think, nirvana of self-driving. But admittedly, we're not always there yet, and honestly, some folks may not even want to take their hands off the wheel, right? It's like a Tesla, where Tesla does some pretty good things around self-driving, but I'm still not going to go fall asleep in the back seat and let it drive me from San Francisco to LA, right? So I think there's different stages of what you can do with self-driving, and the world's evolving, right? So that's automation. The insight comes back to the experience, right? I want to be able to say, at any given second, is Bernard having a bad day? Or which of my iPhone users are having a bad day? Or is the trackside network having an issue, and why, right? So that's insight into, again, not just the network being up, but are people on that network having the experience that we want them to deliver with service levels, which then leads to assurance. So when you have the right automation, you have the right insight, you can assure that the network is always doing what it's supposed to be doing at any given time. And candidly, we wanted to do this over the last 20, 30 years in networking. And until the advent of the cloud and AI, it couldn't be done, right? You just did not have the ability to collect that mass amount of data. You did not have the algorithms to make, to turn data into insight. And that's all changed. Literally, I would say it's changed in the last 10 years with the cloud. And I'd say it's changed in the last like 7 or 8 years with just AI, new algorithms, and new GPUs to process it. So we are literally at, just like AI is at an inflection point changing the whole world, with Gen AI, it certainly is changing networking for sure. And like we said, there's been just a huge monumental leap forward just in the last 5 years alone on that phase. And like we said, Juniper and Aston Martin have been riding that at the forefront of that. So it's very exciting.
So yeah, I'm super intrigued by this, because when you talk about AI, networks is not the first thing that comes to your mind. At the same time, really good networking is such a foundational technology that enables organizations to leverage AI for lots of other things too. So I think it's a
That's a great
example.
that's a great point. Like when people think of AI, they think of solving finding the next virus, right? Or being used in 1,000 different applications, to even like helping grapes grow better. But when you're actually applying AI to different domain expertise, it has a lot of value to networking, right? In the end, you need a network to be predictable, reliable, and measurable. If I really want to know how Bernard's doing, or how all my iPhones are doing, or how all my students are doing, or how all my patients are doing, like let's take wireless, for example, we're collecting 150 user states every 2 seconds from every client, right? That's not data, that's not actual, payload data. That's just, how are you doing? Are you connecting quickly? Or, stuff that you can get anywhere, if you had a sniffer anyway. That's a lot of data. And then when you go across hundreds and thousands of customers, and again, that's just a lot of data to process and make heads or tails out of. And it's a new world order. With AI, you actually can do that, and that just delivers better networks. So it's really cool.
So what kind of benefits is this delivering to customers like Aston Martin? What how is this better to
Yeah.
traditional
Yeah.
network?
So, it's a little bit interesting in that, when you're focusing on experience first, there's really two people that benefit from that, right? Two categories. There's our customer, which is the operator, right? So the folks that run Aston Martin's IT, Their job is just to make sure the network is scalable, reliable, agile, can change with business demands. Basically, their job is to make sure you don't know they're there, right? So, if the wind tunnel is spitting out data, or if there's a user in a conference room, again, they don't know that the data is there. They're just getting what they need when they want. It's almost ambient, right? And so for them, a good experience is, like we said, it's just operating, it's self-driving, or it's giving, telling them exactly what's going wrong and when, so they can go fix it. That's the operator experience. And then there's the end user experience on the network, right? So it could be the Aston Martin employee that's coding the next, whatever, I don't know, brake pad, brake software, right? To the people trackside that are literally taking over 500 sensors led data from the cars in real time and trying to figure out what they need to do to make sure, Fernando can squeeze out an extra, millisecond, right? And so those are the end users that, again, just this thing needs to be reliable, and working. And so that's really where we're benefiting. And like we said, there's kind of two folks. There's the IT, there's the operator, and then there's the folks on the network. And each of them have unique requirements, but are equally important.
So for anyone that is listening now and wants to better leverage data and AI in their own organizations, what would be some of your top tips?
Yeah, so I think when you're looking about AI, there's three fundamental things that are required for what we call kind of real AI. And look, there's a lot of AI washing out there, right? I just flew to Vegas last week, and between Menlo Park and San Francisco Airport, I think I saw 30 billboards with the word AI in it. For everything from Zoom video conferencing to God knows what else, right? So obviously it's a buzzword. It's hot, but there's obviously strong value, right? But for me, there's three things that you really need to look at to make sure you're getting the full benefit of AI, right? One is it's got to be pulling the right data, right? And that's not just about quantity of data, but it's also about quality of data, right? In IT, for example, does it really give visibility into the actual user experience, right? And that comes back to, for example, collecting 150 user states from wireless and combining that from routers and switches and firewalls. And, so I have the complete picture of how Bernard is doing at any given day. So it starts with the right data. Our chief AI officer always says, you can't make good wine without good grapes, right? And the same thing happens with AI. Second thing is the right infrastructure, right? So again, you need a cloud and a purpose-built cloud to collect all that data, be able to work with third-party systems. For example, a great example is to work with Zoom, right, or Teams, or because if a video conference like this goes bad, it could be the network, it could be the client, it could be the application, right? So to be able to tie all those AI systems together is important. So the right infrastructure, like we said, with the right cloud, open APIs. And then last thing is the right responses. Just like Gen AI and Open AI, you want to give the right answers. And sometimes the user doesn't know it's right. And so, you need to be able to do continuous learning and apply domain expertise to, in our instance, we strive for around 80-90% efficacy, no false positives, right? It comes back to people need to trust what we're doing. If this is ever going to move towards a self-driving network, they need to trust but verify. And then once they trust it, they're going to, let more and more happen on their own. But, you got folks that this is their livelihood, right? I'm in charge of running Aston Martin's network. And if it doesn't work, I'm on the line, right? I'm in charge of running Chick-fil-A's network, or, the Veterans Administration, here in the US, right? Obviously these guys take their jobs, and ladies take their jobs seriously. And so, you need the right data, the right infrastructure, and the right outcomes to really do that. AI can deliver that, but there's also a lot of, like we said, pseudo AI or non-AI. And so, you really need some of those elements to make sure you're getting the real value of that.
Very true, very true. So what have you learned from your relationship and your partnership with Aston Martin?
Yeah.
and what excites you about any future developments in F1?
Yeah, so I think the first thing I personally learned that F1 is pretty cool. I can't say I was overly, plugged into F1. I was always more of a, soccer, football guy, and getting involved with these guys and starting to see the races more. I've come to appreciate how one is how complex it is, right, and how nuanced it is, right. Again, you got two guys, even on the same team, that are in ostensibly very similar cars with very different results, and then span that across all these teams. And again, it really comes down to refinement and data and engineering. And so for me, just, that's been extraordinarily fun just to see all those dynamics. And like you said, usually even when you get involved with a sport, and maybe just with a stadium, but here with Aston Martin, it's really been every aspect of what they do. Like we said, the factory, the wind tunnels, the campus, the headquarters, to just, the pit crews and the engineering on site. And gosh, I mean, that is just so, F1 in general drives the adrenaline, but for an IT person, that's kind of the holy grail right there, right? And so it's just been a lot of fun seeing that and seeing it evolve, and just having a great partner that's willing to try different things, and you're part of the results. Again, if Fernando or Lance are on a podium, you feel like, in some kind of way you helped them get there, which is, maybe it's a small part, but it is a part. And I think that's exciting.
Absolutely. And future developments in tech in F1, anything that you keep a close eye on?
Yeah, I mean, not necessarily in F1 per se, but in tech, obviously, it's certainly evolving, and AI is evolving, right? I think the single biggest thing, in terms of AI is, generative AI and large language models and ChatGPT, which, I'm sure you're intimately familiar with, Bernard. But that's changed the game, right? I mean, all of a sudden in the last, 4 years, now, people's grandparents know what AI is, right? Everyone knows what open AI is. And that obviously has applicability to us too, right? We've been doing, for example, virtual network assistant with a conversational interface for 6 years. But Gen AI actually, changes that and adds more nuances on top of that. So it's very interesting to see how that evolves with IT. We've started to use it for, for example, knowledge-based queries, but can you start to use Gen AI for more real-time queries? So I think that's interesting as an example, pulling in other data sources. So we talked about how, Juniper owns the wired and the wireless and the wide area network, but being able to pull in information from Zoom and Teams and other applications, I think, again, really delivers a more end-to-end AI-driven assurance, which I think is pretty interesting there too. So those are just some of the areas that you're seeing this evolve, and it's moving fast. I mean, gosh, like I said, at Mist 6 years ago, it was just AI for wireless, right? And we were the only ones talking AI in this space. And now, like we said, there's AI for wireless and wired and data center, security, and every vendor is talking about it. And so, the world moved pretty quickly. And so, trying to stay ahead is always interesting, but, having key customers and partners like Aston Martin certainly help us do that. And so, like you said, I've been in networking for, over 30 years now, and I don't think it's ever been as exciting as this. You can say with Web 2.0, it certainly got exciting. With the advent of the cloud, it got exciting, but this, in my mind, just blows the doors off of anything we've seen in networking. Just like, again, I think you could say they've seen in every other industry. It's just it's a new world, and it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's super exciting, and I've literally just finished writing my new book on generative AI in practice, which is full of case studies of how it is really transforming pretty much any organization and any
For
sector.
sure.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Jeff, for sharing this with us today. That was really fascinating. For anyone who ever wants to rewatch or re-listen to this, simply head to my podcast or my YouTube channel, where you can find this one and hundreds of other conversations like this. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Pleasure.